kind of interesting because we are on here, but we have 10 seconds on the main thing. All right. We're here, we're live, and we're so excited to have yet another episode for you guys. We have, I think, 21 to 22. I keep having to count our speakers at our amazing event coming up. We have the Simplezonseller first ever live event coming to Houston, Sugar Land area at the end of this month, April 27th and 28th. I have put together some amazing people to come to the stage, and we're so honored and blessed to have them. Every time I interview somebody, it just gets better and better. And I have so many amazing comments from you. And today we have another awesome guest speaker. And I've known Tom, I guess, for probably about 5 years now. I met him at the first, I think, CES, right, Tom? At Jim Cockram's CES conference when I first started Amazon. And so we are here, and you know, he didn't even hesitate when I asked him to speak. He's just so wonderful, and he has this awesome wife and awesome family, and they live in Austin, Texas, which I'm so jealous whenever I think about that. And he has an amazing story. He does so many different things. I'll let you hear from him. But I guess my biggest thing too is like, I'm just so inspired when I see him and what he's doing. And, you know, he has an awesome group that he can share. And I'm in awe, Tom, with you. And I'm just so thankful that you have agreed to come to Houston and be a part of our event. And I know that it's just going to make our event.
Did we freeze? I have no idea.
All right. Is that better?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's like, so I have to check it. I don't know why. They're still kind of working on our internet, so we'll do the best we can. It's my fault. It's probably because they're actually out there burying the line. So anyway, we have Tom, and you know, he has an amazing story for you. He has had many success stories in his life. He's done many different things. And Tom, thank you for being here. I know that your time is valuable. I know our listeners who are on here are also, you know, their time is valuable. So introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do. And, you know, it's awesome.
Oh, of course, I got an alarm that goes off as soon as you hand it over to me.
Okay.
But it was an alarm reminding me that we've got this going on.
Okay, hold on before you start.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's let me just make sure here. On my screen, it's showing different stuff, so I just want to make sure we're good. This is so frustrating. It's not anybody's fault but my own. Hold on. Let me just reload this one more time. All right, there. Okay, go ahead. Go for it.
So you were saying how these interviews are getting like better and better as they go along. So I'm glad I didn't go first.
Well, they all know that.
Does that mean the first one was terrible? Who went first?
No. Well, the first one, it was my own fault because I was interviewing Brandon Young, and I didn't have my screen side by side. I didn't have it, you know, way to check it and everything. Yeah. And so it was my own fault. So
no worries.
Yeah. But when I say better and better, I guess we're getting better at making this happen. So anyway, yeah, tell us who you are and like what you do, and you know.
Oh my gosh, who am I? Who doesn't know who I am? Just kidding. Well, like Joy said, I'm Tom Curtis. I'm not really anybody in particular. Yeah, I live in Austin. I live in Austin. That's about the coolest thing about me. Yeah, Joy's right. Well, I have done a lot of things. I try not to do too many things nowadays. I try not to have too many funnels out there. And I've had this roller coaster life. I remember back in 2008, in 2006, man, I thought I had the world by the horns, just like a lot of people did. Little did we know the horns were falling off of that bull, because of what was happening in the economy kind of behind the scenes. And I too was getting caught up in that and had no idea. So I had a successful commercial roofing company for, gosh, I can't remember how long it was at that point, 8 or 9 years. And, just like anybody who's really successful in their business, I decided to move out of state because that's what you do, right? And so I decided I'd leave that business and I would do consulting for contractors. And, that was okay for a little bit, but I didn't realize that everything was coming to a halt. And who gets hit first, or some of the first businesses to get hit when an economy is taking a nosedive like that? Contractors, anybody in the building industry, because that's one of the first things to stop and halt. And yeah, so I got caught up in that. And long story short on that, went through foreclosure, bankruptcy, wow, which, let me just tell you, is a soul-sucking experience. I will never forget. That. Yes. It's not actually something I've shared a lot until recently, because it was such an awful experience. But if you haven't gone through that, you have to go before somebody. It's like going before a judge, but it's a trustee. And my experience with a trustee, and then also talking to others who have gone through the same experience, is that the trustee who is handling the bankruptcy is like the most evil person you will ever encounter. They hate you. They think you are the worst scum to have ever walked the earth, and they will treat you as such. And that's how this trustee, handled us. And my personality, when I encounter people like that, it's very hard for me to bite my tongue. And so that experience of having to bite my tongue extra hard was awful. And then, I wish that was the last part of that total nosedive for me. But then I was actually diagnosed as a diabetic not too long before that. And just a month or two before the bankruptcy, my doctor put me on insulin. Didn't tell me really much about how to use it. So in March of 2008, so last month, it was 10 years ago, everything had just crumbled. And so we were living, so we had moved from California up to Utah. Everything fell apart. We're going to move back to California into my mom's house. And I was already back in California getting my roofing company revived, because that was all I could really get back to. And so I was going to drive up to Utah and move my family back. So the morning I was going to do that, I ended up passing out because my blood sugar dropped so low. And I ended up driving a half mile, totally unconscious.
Oh my goodness.
And totaled my Ford F-150 going at 45 miles an hour. I crashed into a corner of a garage. So like my truck, that was like the last thing I kind of had. And, and I was using that for business, and then lost that. And anyway, everything worked out fine. My family got moved down okay. But I remember sitting there in the hospital. I spent a night in the hospital. I didn't get too banged up. I didn't break any bones, never even had any stitches, just a lot of bumps and bruises, and the ego was a little bit bruised up. But I remember sitting there in the hospital and thinking, kind of going back over what had happened over the last year or two. And man, it was rough. It was stressful for me, my wife, family, just everybody. And I remember just sitting there in the hospital, kind of feeling sorry for myself for 5 minutes, which is about my time limit on things like that. And I just had this feeling, this overwhelming feeling like everything's okay and everything's going to be okay. And it was, it's not like I left the hospital and knew the course of my life for the next 50 years or, came up with some product idea I was going to share with the world or anything like that. I just knew everything was going to be okay. And, one reason or one thing that's helped me in moments like that was a long time ago. Oh, let me put the fork down. I always have to have something.
I didn't know if that was like part of your,
Well, I'll tell you one thing. When I speak, I always use props. So
yeah, I thought it might be one of your props.
in my videos, I have the fork. It's a good pattern interrupt. But anyway, a quote that my dad shared with me a long time ago. I don't remember when it was, but it was a quote from a early 20th century English philosopher, Gilbert Chesterton. And this is what he said. He said, "There's something which gives radiance to everything. It is the idea of something around the corner."
Wow.
And that's the kind of thing that got me through that whole experience back in 2008 and going forward. It's the thing that keeps me going. Anytime life seems like it wants to just, pummel me and punch me and hurt me. That's the one thing that has always kept me going is there's always something to look forward to. There's always something around the corner. And it's like, I don't know, if there's anything that's helped me more than anything else in my life when things go bad, it's that. And what's there to look forward to? I don't know. There's always something to look forward to. For me, it's certain things, certain people, events, or whatever. For other people, it's different. And this will kind of be something that I touch on when I speak at the event. But anyway, that's kind of like who I am and some things I've gone through. And I've had some success since. But you know what? I'm still like the people attending the event, and maybe most, if not all, the speakers. We're still trying to figure things out. I definitely don't have all of life and business figured out, and I don't think I ever will. I think that's kind of the point of life in a way. It's like, right. We're not going to get everything figured out, but we'll come close a few times. And hopefully when we do, we'll share that with other people. And I guess that's what I'm doing.
Did you say that quote was from your dad? Did he make that quote up, or is that
No. It was a man named Gilbert Chesterton.
Okay. Maybe later on you can post that quote in the comments. I would love to read that again, because that's an awesome quote. I love how I know Tom, but I didn't know all this about Tom, and that makes me even admire him even more, because it's one of those things whenever you have things that are happening in your life that are just easygoing, everything is going well. We all have our times in our life where everything is perfect, right? But then we have, like you say, you said the words pattern interrupt. And when I thought about that, I thought about exactly what you're saying, even with your life, because all of us have things in our life where it doesn't run smoothly. And our life is like this. We're in our good times and we're in our bad times. We have money and then we don't. And then, I didn't know you had a foreclosure going on and all that. And that's, that alone is so much stress. And then along with your, learning about your diabetes and all that, I did know that about you. But even through the struggles that come in our life, and this is one of the things you're going to be hearing Tom talk about in detail on the stage, is just going from all of these different experiences, failures, all these things that he has gone through, and be able to still rise above it. And, this is an interesting interview, because a lot of our interviews have been about private label and Amazon and all this kind of stuff. And that's awesome. But the thing of the matter is, that's all great, but like we have to have some sort of, stable block that we're sitting on, and that we have something that we're having to, I guess, overcome. We hit a wall, we have things that are thrown at us in every direction, and it's what we do with that. Like, how do we respond to that? And you're hearing, all these amazing things that Tom's saying, and you see him, that he's here today and he's still standing on his feet. He lives in Austin, Texas. I'm so jealous about that. My youngest son is named Austin for a reason. I knew he was going to be my last baby, and it's so weird. I love Austin so much. And, and here Tom, every time I hear him talk about Austin, I'm so jealous about that. But tell us a little bit about your awesome group that you're starting, and you don't you have a podcast or something? And if you don't, I know you probably will start one, because you did do podcast.
Very close. We're very close.
Okay. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how, because one of the things that when I met Tom too is I did an interview with him. He interviewed me probably 3 or 4 years ago, huh, Tom, when we first met, and I thought he had an awesome speaking voice, because I remember, in fact, he doesn't know this, but he's going to be the main person opening up the event to introduce me. And then I would take
I gotta go.
But he has like an amazing, I would say an MC voice. So it's awesome. He just has a smooth, he's awesome to listen to. So I can't wait for his podcast. So tell us a little about your upcoming podcast and a little bit about your group.
Well, this is cool, because this is going to be something I'll talk about at the event. So I thought of the idea of doing a podcast like 5 years ago. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard the quote, but it's like, when was the best time to plant a tree? It was like 20 years ago, right? Well, when's the second best time to plant a tree? Right now. So maybe the best time for me to start a podcast was 5 years ago. The second best time is like right now. And the number one reason I didn't do it 5 years ago is just fear, and that imposter syndrome. And I don't know if everybody's heard of that before, but I like to call it the George McFly syndrome. So if you've ever seen the movie Back to the Future, George McFly is like, to me, actually, George McFly is the main character. Everybody gets it wrong. They think Marty McFly is the main character and the hero. No, it's George McFly. And that's a topic for another time. But in the movie George McFly, he's always, afraid of like this and afraid of that. And he says like, well, what if they say no? What if they say I'm no good? I just don't think I can take that kind of a rejection. And so that's like what that imposter syndrome is. And that creeps up. I don't know about anybody else, but it creeps up on me every single day. And I make videos like every day. I'm doing this, that, and the other, where I'm making content, and it still creeps up on me all the time. And I have to recognize it and realize, oh, okay, that's just the imposter syndrome. Shut up. Just keep going. But it's, it's that kind of like an inner voice that we hear and feel. It's saying, no, why would you ever consider putting yourself out there like that? You can't do that. You can't be an entrepreneur. You don't have what it takes. No, hold back. Nobody wants to hear it. Well, that's crap. Okay. After 44 years on this planet, I've come to realize that's total crap. Anyway. But 5 years ago, I allowed that to sink in and think, oh gosh, I don't have a voice to put out there. And the problem was, like, I'm listening to all these amazing podcasts, right? I'm listening to Entrepreneur on Fire with John Lee Dumas, Smart Passive Income with Pat Flynn, Tony Robbins,
with Joy Packard.
Yeah, that newest one. That's a great one. But anyway, like, so I'm comparing myself, right? That's another thing. Another trap with the imposter syndrome is it leads to comparing yourself to other people. And talk about wasted time and effort is comparing yourself to anybody else. But, it's easy to do it. So that's what I did. I'm like, well, I'm not as good as those people. And what do I have to share? And blah, blah, blah. So that podcast I wanted to do back then is not the podcast that it has evolved to now. And so it's called The Entrepreneur Code. In a nutshell, it's a podcast where I'll share experiences and stories from my own experience. And really, it's about me rising up and defending would-be entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs, even seasoned entrepreneurs. Because you know what? There's a lot of crap out there. And I feel like I've experienced all the crap of entrepreneurship and marketing where, it's like, nothing comes along that I haven't seen before. And it's so easy to get sucked into that trap thinking like, oh gosh, I need another course. I need another book. I got to go to this seminar and this event, in order to make it. Well, that's crap too. Not that these courses and things that are out there aren't good, right? It all comes down to, what are you using it for? And what are you doing with it? Now, a lot of people put out crappy courses. That's true. Except Joy is not one of those people. And the people who in the circles that Joy and I are in are very good. And I can easily say that. But there's a lot of crap out there. And part of my podcast, without directly pointing at those things, is helping to guide the people in the right direction and help them steer away from the crap, help them break through the walls that creep up with the imposter syndrome, because it's going to happen. And you have to figure out how to get around it, get through it. Mm-hmm. Now, that's different for everybody. For sure. Me, I need small daily wins at a minimum, or that imposter syndrome will creep in and it will completely take me over. Even after all this time, it still happens.
I love the small daily wins thing. That's something that we talk about quite a bit. And I talk about that a lot because we beat ourselves up so much when we see something that we're doing that's so far away. And then, we don't realize that if we just start and do those little things every single day, that those little wins will get us to the big win, And so it's really interesting. So
and let me just say something real quick with that, is that I used to get caught up too with, I've got to get up to the plate and hit a home run first time out, rather than, okay, let's just focus on the goal of having a good batting average. 3 out of 10 is an incredible batting average, batting 300, instead of just getting up there and trying to crush the ball every single time. And it comes back down to like the tortoise and the hare tale, trying to be the hare, the rabbit that's running as fast as they can to win the race, or laying more of a foundation like tortoise style. And that's,
I like that.
For my personality, that is extremely hard for me to do, because I want the big win. I want the now win. And that's tough to go slow and steady.
Yeah. And that is our society today. It's the instant gratification. It's with our kids. It's, when we were little, it wasn't as much like that. I mean, when I was growing up, it just gets to where, when kids don't get their, this now, and when the AC goes off and it doesn't come on now, everything is now, instant gratification. And I know what you mean. It's like, but I love that. I love the little phrase, the small, simple wins. And, if we can incorporate that in our daily life, I think that's awesome. I'm so thankful that you're able to, join us, like I say. And if, will you post a link to the event as I'm, talking right now? You have your link. You can post it in the comments, Tom. And so people will know that, our event is about to be sold out, guys. We are shooting for 100 because we have tables. It can hold 200 without tables, but I really want to keep it a little bit more intimate, as, maybe 125, 140 would be awesome. But if we get 100 and we're almost there, you really need to get your tickets, because we just added one more speaker. If you check the page, and, we'll be interviewing him tomorrow, but every single speaker that you hear, and you're like Tom. I mean, many of you probably don't even know Tom because he's kind of behind the scenes background, good guy that does awesome things. And it's so neat to pull these people out of their little cubby holes of, and spread their goodness to other people. And so I think that, as I say, like, some of you guys didn't know Matt and Sherry yesterday, and some of you didn't know, you're not going to know some of the other speakers that I'm bringing on. But you know what? These are successful people, whether through Amazon. Look at, what Tom's talking about. He's going to hit us with some amazing motivation with the experiences that he's been through. And so we're so excited to have him. And we appreciate all you guys taking your time out of the day. We know, your time is valuable. Tom's time is valuable. We're so thankful that he is willing to get on here and tell us a little bit about himself and a little teaser. And so he'll put his link in the, even if it shows up after this.
I have it. I was trying to.
Yeah, you have it?
I couldn't find the little comment box.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know. I'll drop it in there.
Well, when this is over, what you can do is in the comments, make sure you put, this is where you can, join, so people know what that link is for. And so anyway, we thank you for being on here, Tom. We thank you guys that are on here live. We know that this is going to probably have replays of people watching on their own time, and we appreciate your time as well. So again, it's the event coming up in a few weeks. It's the Simplezonseller event in Houston, April 27th and 28th. We hope to see you there. A lot of people are asking, will you do this again? I don't know if it's going to happen again. I do know this is happening, and this is where you need to be. And, we're doing everything in our power to bring you some incredible speakers who are on stage, including the one that we have here. Tom is amazing. And so, you're going to get a lot out of it. I promise you. I'm not just putting this together just to put together. I'm excited to come to my own event and listen to the people who I am bringing on stage. So with that, we thank you again, Tom, for being here. And we thank you listeners for being on here as well. So we will talk to you very soon and see you in Houston in 2 more weeks. So
thanks a lot, Joy.
All right. Take care, everybody. See you later. Bye.